Kusuzampo, welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Pupkam. Our top stories this week: His Majesty the King and His Majesty the Fourth Rugalpo offer prayers for the late Indian Chief of Defence Staff and 12 others who lost their lives in a helicopter accident yesterday. The National Assembly passes motion to lift the ban on issuance of bar licenses. And third local government elections sees 491 women candidates. His Majesty the King and His Majesty the Fourth Rugalpo offered prayers and kamitonche at the Kundre of the Tashichozong for General Bipin Rawat, the Chief of Defence Staff of the Indian Armed Forces, his wife Madhulika Rawat, and 11 armed force personnel who lost their lives in a helicopter accident on Wednesday.
His Majesty the King and His Majesty the Fourth Rugalpo have sent messages of condolence for the bereaved families and the government and people of India. The Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Chief Operations Officer of the RBA and senior officers of the armed forces, along with the Indian ambassador, the heads of UNTAD and Dantak, and representatives of the Indian community in Bhutan joined the ceremony to offer 1,000 butter lamps. General Bipin Rawat, who visited Bhutan several times during his career, will be remembered as a friend by the people of Bhutan. Tributes have poured in from around the world. The general will be cremated with full military honors on Friday. General Rawat was appointed Chief of Defence Staff in 2019. Tandin Phunso, BBS News.
Oftentimes, months of hard work go down the drain. It is the usual situation most farmers in the country find themselves in. According to the Kenkar Weringla MP, this cycle of distress the farmers are into is because of poor marketing policies. He says the government should change the current marketing system and recommended making the import and export policy precise.
The Member of Parliament of Kenkar Weringla in Mongar, Rinzin Jamso, said the government and everyone worked hard during the difficult times to be food self-sufficient. He said the farmers toiled to achieve this, but he said they were left disappointed without a good market in the end. To address this, he moved the motion to amend the agricultural marketing strategies and the export-import policy. Most of the members supported the motion.
Shungi Khatule, Sanam Tsongdel Lamluk Lekche Bedi, Dubre Chenchida, Tarkel Chenchi Zogobiki Teden.
Didang Tindi Tenmigi, the Tenki Disudi, Dutsikalo Tsongdel Tabmasupe Kangil Jumidi, the Chili Biwachin, the Jungi Katule, the Charjidang Siju Samda, Digi Banalu, Tangteri Mashoga Sid.
Ngachagi Nagi Nyakachudi, Pa Bombay Zumbeki Sakuna Zumbewaching, Charo de Chapochilutur, Gubjabenyo Saigi, Lujudu Sishunila. The niche marketing is a shuni that she Naragi Timi Atatesogi, Shudozumbere, niche market, the Gungachaki, Shubego Sishunila.
The Ani buyback policy, the UB, the Anibo, the Chugi, Kiwada, Tele Saga, the Emma, Tsisidisu, the Limba Ondogasu, Anibe Dudalu, transportation charge the Gibe, the Titi the Omese Mebala, Titi the Mihibese, the Titi Omdalu, the Garigi transportation charge the Kongibera. That Jingo Bay Bodalu, Tabdeu Madudi, Nankinalu, Tsongdil Tabdalu, do Sishunila.
Arena marketing strategy, the Judigibe, the Chileju, you want to Chagona Pudu Sessionilla, Tizumbe, incentive scheme for market production, say, Tangachigi, Datogi, buyback, say, Umidi, the buyback the part, top chapdalu, you remember Bashinala. Gotsub Dalara, Misselu, Damhab Pigo Sessionilla, the Ro Konagibe, Gergitolube, Sondal Nanina, Yanji Junlu. Zondigibe, Jungibe, the Sondal Tapchunina, Damka, the Anibenigi, Tangachigi, incentive scheme for market production, 70 number US.
The minister also added that an agriculture trade discussion with India to discuss marketing agriculture produce was done recently. With 33 yes votes from 41 members present and voting, the House passed the motion. This is Sringdandu, BBS News.
The National Assembly, through a show of hands, passed the motion to lift the ban on issuance of bar licenses on Thursday. The House also passed the recommendation to maximize the efforts to create awareness on the ill effects of consuming alcohol. The Ada Teso MP Kilon Chu moved the motion in the House. The government suspended the issuance of new bar licenses in 2010.
The Athang Theso MP said banning bar license issuance and imposing fines has not fulfilled its purpose thus far. Today, there are about 4,500 bar licenses, 600 retail liquor shop licenses, and 195 wholesaler licenses in the country.
The bar licenses from the bunga da tu khala ya sunula. The tsome jad tanda chi me beradu se shuni. Khorai chung chap me minu se shuni la.
Similarly, other members supported the decision to lift the ban.
Diachi tarchuchi jemiswe diachi lalem lejimchi thamswe so wachin thamthasara kakchati nam me se shuni la. Dani kakcha nam dalu tab madudi kachi du so waj. No di phauki zani me no te no sachi tamchi gira te utuba okanalera matamba javi suyuzum jebe de jo me se shuni.
Te chongi kakdam dinga chegi te koya be jadab jochi be te chultun be zoda bajin ditatok be tab dinime ese. Nibagi tidu ibdul ngachara soel henkagi te zeda zeishim baro yu nalapang ngachara ke soegi laptun chugi khatule chushigi lerim dizu te ngachara chikuchida nikuni di te lejum be te ngachara ke migi nawalu dai nawalu dub jawde chip jadab dochi be wachin te ko khasibe ngam ngachi migi ha me ko ga ase
achara kakdam chabdi beru ti chisung be jumatu be te yimi hotel gi jinda sakhang bom gi jinda disun choktame thopno te galu mathobesin te mise nyamchu ngoma nyamgiba te pen mathumi di mise nyamchu ime
tanga chinale chajo dube hasobachin di lalin thamnigi tenlu tarche begi kapdilu te ngagi bewachin dhambara ngachani fronting di te danjle rutengil henkai khatule nowa lesha nai lani ja ase te hanichi se sunime niba somda chankadi gati jakobina doto chunje yen menkada lobdagi bolkha jamoshubse yu 디레베로 디에 도도 까마서 디에 같이 레짐베 디시나 조디베 추수세 신이베라
ngachi ease of doing business sela ne chongla chamigi angbe omebala ranking te ani na ngachi na hibe chen ma phap jodu sumchi ila te doto ngachi ani gi go kap phido chen ease of doing business ki angdia ya sing joni un serewa ke do se shunila
ngachiragi te fronting gi didi hyopji dare chenchi khasakhanim inda gebana gochudigibe Kasakanim in the Chukchipa Sumchu Chenchina, the ownership transfer Gademchi Benu Shewachin, Chikja, Dukchu Red, Dungidi, Techa, you license the ownership transfer Benula.
However, the health minister raised concerns on lifting the ban and said it will affect the health expenditure of the country due to treatment of alcohol-related diseases. She said the health ministry spends about 26 million yutam on alcohol liver diseases annually.
Chang thung be nyepti omega le yesi gi sagodi ngachi mengana be beudalu digi thore ta beuda namisami ta chage line session ila tamapa shoktam gi kaktap ti dula devalu kaktap ra ina sawachi deve meme session ila tamba kaktap in selap telen 3-star luchi telen retail luchi telen factory chu sale chu.
The House directed the Economic Affairs Ministry to implement the motions passed and accordingly formulate stringent rules and regulations on its implementation. Similarly, the House passed the Khar Yurung MP Sring Chodin's motion of immediate commencement of the Southeast-West Highway constructions. The highways include Nganglam to Deothang, to Gelifu to Panbang, and Hamezingkha to Sarpang. However, the House did not pass the MP's recommendation to complete the North-East-West Highway, which includes Bumthang Ura to Limithang, to be completed by December next year. Meanwhile, the House adopted the Civil Society Organization Amendment Bill 2021 and Royal Bhutan Police Amendment Bill 2021 today. The bills will be forwarded to the National Council. Sunampem for BBS News.
One of the reasons for divorce and family problems is when couples are forced to live apart because of their work. And living apart is common among teachers since the number of teachers is highest in the civil service. The Jomosanka Marsala MP asked the Education Minister about the measures formulated to resolve this issue during the question hour session on Tuesday.
The MP of Jomosanka Marsala constituency said teacher transfer concerns have affected the quality of education in the country.
나루 베베 유다우치 비와친 다 자창당 텔레 부지추 쫑니기 답마디오 텔레 포당 모 야딜 조아기 에딘디안 딜리 투메 시주니라 다 숨바기 테가 heb달루 다 랑기 노사기 사콩나루 다 네소디 마토베 강렌 디 랑기 라루 닌터기 라루야 toa jinsu chi joy ganglo te lagi pichilia nume sijuni la pe bio chinga chi lobdagi lopin sumji bio chin ta shirigi pichilu ta nidong nime sijuni la.
The Education Minister said while the ministry has been able to facilitate many transfer proposals on marital grounds, most cases had to be rejected.
Marital ground nalu the dogi the nalu taro nesor the shua phimedi niktong khijina bewachin 직자 지기 대 공기 수아피누 순이메일라 ngapchunga ge dechi lunga ji nesor pochu ji sunimeila tanga jet niktung kechichi na 직자 ngapchunga sumnale tanga chigi katemji lu nesor pochu jiga shewachin gupchu go gulu bechupnu sunimeila.
The minister said they have developed a transfer and placement guideline which will resolve the teacher transfer concerns. The RCSC approved the guideline last year. As per the guideline, transfer proposals are facilitated based on vacancies in the respective subjects in the opted places, marital consideration with seniority in the service, and rural postings, and those completing 3 years of service from the date of initial appointment, among others. As per the Annual Education Statistics 2021, there are over 10,000 teachers in the country today. Sunampem for BBS News.
Walking out of home has become worrying for the residents of Langtil Geok in Tongsa. Frequent sighting of bears in the Geok has put fear into their hearts. People say they have spotted about 7 adult bears frequenting their villages in the past 2 months.
Villagers say the bears are often seen raiding fruits in the orchards, along the highways, and most often in the village periphery. Recently, Latro saw a bear on a cypress tree near his home at the old Langtil town. He says the bear was trying to build a nest.
I heard the dogs barking early in the morning. I thought monkeys had come into the fields. But I was shocked to see a bear. I immediately reported it to the forest officials.
Latro said the bear stayed on the tree the entire day and towards the evening escaped into the nearby jungle. Likewise, in Indrucholing Chiok, villagers encountered a bear that was caught in a trap. The bear had come to feed on a guava tree. Forest officials later rescued the bear.
We don't know who made the trap, but it had captured the bear. It was near the road. Thankfully, the string on the trap was strong. Otherwise, the bear could have harmed many people.
So far, no villager in the Geok has been harmed. People believe that bears come to their village mainly for the fruits. Villagers in Langtel grow guava, orange, papaya and avocado. Another reason for the increased sightings, according to the people, is because of the fallow lands that have turned into forests. Meanwhile, forest officials say there is nothing that can be done except for people to stay vigilant. The officials say people should report the sightings so that they can capture the animals and release them away from settlements. For Pasa in Trongsa, Sengishuzom for BBS News.
The Health Ministry has completed the installation of genome sequencing technology at the Royal Centre for Disease Control in Thimphu. This means testing of COVID samples to determine the strain or variant which was previously sent to Thailand can now be done in the country. The RCTC conducted tests on samples of a few imported cases and found them to be of the Delta variant.
So because we have a good collaboration with the Thailand Institute where we have sent a sample, we don't have to pay because that is kind of them because they do free of cost. But however, in terms of timing, in the first sample that we have shipped, it took almost a month. Second and third, I think it took almost 2 to 3 weeks. So that's why I think, because they are also busy with their samples, so it takes time to get the results. But now, after having established capacity, we should be able to do the sequencing of the virus and able to find out whether it's alpha, beta, or now the new virus Omicron. So it will at least take 3 to 4 days.
For decades, highlanders of Lunana migrate to Punakha during the winter to escape the harsh cold. With the poll day of the third LG election just a few weeks away, Lunabs who are already in their winter homes may not be able to go back. So will they miss their chance to vote? Not quite so. The ECB has arranged for postal ballot facilitation booths to help more than 200 Lunabs in casting their votes from Punakha.
Winter has come and the pasture lands of Changi in Punakha are filled with horses and mules from Lunana. Every winter, the Lunabs travel to the warmer places with their animals in search of fodder and to restock their rations. This time, they are happier as they won't miss the opportunity to vote for the LG elections.
Saktudi tunigi kokap kadebe thopga ngachi nam gungi netang lu na pina kha jogup chibawale tendigibe teti netang kadebe kokap thoga semigi chagi chiti line session ila
te nam gungi ura tap chaleramide te tarin dabani te ngani sombingani nam simi kari chano no samtari kari gata samdala
tarigi chogendi nam simi kha chenim chimme mosla teti beoda minyam chusogi garidala ya tangobe tele ma tangdalu Tieta Madeu Domtachin Yeptalo Jungi Nami Simi Chendebe Nara de Ke Nausala Midilo, Tera Missinium Chukadulo, Namisimikari Gatsot Samla Machaba use Shoni,
Telalochi Nahu, Lalochinuna Begale, the Telenale Yajogisen, the Toranam to the Jago Teso, Tata Gisore, the Rolalochi Hamalera Pasudimi Baby and let up Madu Tin.
Talk to the Ramda, you can joke on Tangano Sagalan Chilla. They rode through the Saktu Catulete Nangachi. For many
Lunabs, they have found a second home in Punakha. While some rent houses during the migration phase, many have built houses in and around Punakha to beat the harsh cold weather. The ECB initiated postal ballot facilitation booths in 2018 to ease the voting process and to increase voter turnout. For Changadoji in Punakha, Pemasaldun Sring, BBS News.
About 490 women will be taking part in the local government elections this time. Among them, more than 80% will be contesting for the post of Sokpa in various parts of the country. More than 3,500 candidates will participate in the third LG elections.
The number of women candidates selected this time is almost the same to that of the second LG election. A total of 490 women took part in the 2016 LG elections as compared to 491 this time. There are about 400 female candidates for the post of Sokpa, about 60 will contest for Mangmi's seat, and roughly 30 will contest to become a Gup. Meanwhile, there are 5 female candidates contesting for Thomde Ngotsap and 3 for Thomde Sokpa. In comparison to the previous LG election, the number of men candidates this time increased about 90. More than 2,900 male candidates took part in the second LG election in 2016. The third LG election this time has more than 3,000 men candidates. Among them, the majority of almost 60% are also contesting for the post of Sokpa. Almost 600 candidates will contest for the post of Gup, almost 620 candidates for the Mangmis post, and more than 2,260 people will contest to become a Sokpa. There are 2 Thompe candidates, 6 Thomde Sokpa candidates, and almost 30 candidates for the Thomde Ngotsap elections. The poll day for the third LG election will be held on 22nd of this month. Pemasaldun Sring, BBS News.
They followed the orders of the district administration and happily dismantled their old homes exactly a year ago. In the hope of building better ones, some 36 residents of Dagapala town lost their homes. And even today, they are waiting for the National Land Commission to provide them with the land ownership certificates. His Majesty the King granted land ownership certificates in 2017.
Except for the outgrown bushes, not a brick has been laid here. The Dzongkhag administration's promise to initiate a new town development works at the earliest has been hard to swallow. And while they wait for the works to begin, their new settlement is far from reassuring.
A land plotting was carried out in July this year, and we were informed that land ownership certificates will be issued in September, but we didn't get it even today. The temporary sheds are becoming unstable by the day, and it is risky there.
Operating businesses from the temporary shed is challenging and risky. There are dangers of wind blowing away the structures anytime. We would be grateful if we get land ownership certificates at the earliest.
Besides, the number of shops is also increasing, testing the limited facilities there. From 36 in the beginning, the temporary town has 45 businesses.
We don't have enough facilities such as water and electricity. The traffic is also getting congested by the day.
We are now confused since there is no clear direction from the concerned authority about when to start the construction works. We don't have a proper place to stay, and it is embarrassing while we have guests.
Since the temporary sheds are on leased private land, residents pay 800 Nultrum per month. However, it might not be long before they could start building homes. As per the district engineer, the land ownership certificates are ready. They will provide the construction approval after the local government election. For Pema Chaung in Dagana, Sangi Shizong for BBS News.
When it comes to keeping COVID-19 at bay, the Roka in Samtse seems willing to go a little further. They constructed a quarantine facility, all thanks to the Dungkhag officials who volunteered for the purpose, so crucial at this time of the pandemic.
Volunteerism at its best. They are teachers, Dungkhag officials and Desubs in September busy constructing a quarantine facility. It took them 3 months to convert an old BHU into a quarantine facility. And this is how the old structures look today.
Unlike other places, we do not have big hotels and guest houses which can be a quarantine facility. So we are now using an old BHU which was lying idle as a quarantine facility. We have installed all necessary services required for a quarantine facility like power, water connectivity, separate toilets and TV.
In the absence of a proper quarantine facility in Doroka, residents had to travel as far as Punakha, but not anymore. The facility will benefit particularly those traveling to Dzongkhag the most.
From here, it will take only about 2 hours to reach Ha. But when such a facility is not there, people have to travel to Thimphu or other districts, which takes more than a day. And when they do not have a personal car, it becomes quite challenging.
Residents are also equally happy with the development.
The quarantine facility will benefit us immensely. Earlier, we had to travel to Samtse, Phuncholing or Thimphu for quarantine services. We had to travel a lot, and the Dorka-Samtse road is unreliable and risky, especially during the summer.
There are many rooms and it is very convenient. People can have privacy in the new quarantine facility.
We are happy that we have a quarantine facility here now. It will be very convenient for us as we will not have to travel to Thimphu or other districts.
The quarantine facility can easily accommodate some 30 people. The Samtse Dzongkhag administration contributed about 500,000 item for the initiative. The first group of people who spent 7 days quarantine here left the facility earlier this week, something that was not possible just last month. For Pasang Dorji in Samtse, Samten Dolker, PBS News.
That's all we have for you for this week. Thank you for joining us.